Hi guys, my name's Seb Tudor, I'm the man on the Silver Mountain, and welcome back to another Paladins 101. Now we've got another new character here, Ash, the war machine, I think? Is that what she's called? I think that's what she's called. We'll find out later. But she is apparently the leader of the Magistrate's army, so whoever the Magistrate is, but she is also another hero that they have introduced to try and seemingly slant the meta in a different way, or slant the game in a different way, so people are encouraged to play the way that they want us to play instead of actually the way that things are going on at the moment. And so let's take a look at these skills first, because I tried recording this before, so I've done a fair amount of stuff already. Like I've unlocked her cards and I've created a loadout. But unfortunately the recording crashed, so I'm gonna go through this again, maybe a little bit quicker than I did last time, because I kind of want to get back to it. But she's got a primary fire that is an AoE. Once again, I note the fact that there is no ranging here. It doesn't tell you if it's short range or long range. It is a hard limit kind of mid-range, well no, actually it's kind of like mid to low range weapon. But it's got a substantial AoE and it's 400 damage, which to me seems alright, but at the same time, considering you've got Willow, who is again positional and AoE focused, but is only 500 damage base, it seems like whilst Willow has a lot more damage potential, again, this is kind of trying to encourage that movement out of AoE and away from each other, and more in the way of flanking and taking care of when you're grouping up and stuff like that, which I don't have anything against, but the way that, again, this seems a lot for a tank, considering that then the other characters that this character seems, in my opinion, to make pretty obsolete in various ways, like Fernando and Barrick most prominently. You know, this character has a weapon that kind of outdoes both of the other two in terms of range and in terms of reach. But there you go, maybe the rest of her abilities won't be quite so much. But then the next one, her alt fire, kinetic burst, allows her to knock people back, and this again I feel is pretty good for a frontliner coming in, being able to knock people back, knock people off the point, knock people off the map. Again, it's positional play and it's stuff like that, but it's not so far outside of other abilities. The thing is, again, it kind of sits here with me thinking that so far she's somewhere between Drogo's and Willow, because she's got this AoE kind of like lower base damage weapon, but then she's also got this knockback as an alt fire. So, you know, there's that. But now here we get into her other abilities, and this is where I really feel the problems are, as I talked about in my problems with Paladins video, that I'll leave a link somewhere, maybe, or in the description, whatever. But ultimately, with Shoulder Bash, it's a charge. It's like Fernando's, apart from the fact that this one takes a little time to charge up, and it has a bigger payoff because it's got a very powerful knockback on it. And so again, I feel like maybe this should have been tuned up into Fernando rather than added as part of just a new random character, because like Fernando at the moment is, in my view, a very weak pick for a tank in this game at the moment, for a frontliner. His shield doesn't his shield punishes resource management. His range, if you get within it, now they made him a little bit more punishing, but you actually, you know, he needs to get there first. His charge is a bit unruly, and it just kind of doesn't have as much punch and impact as maybe you'd want it to, in my personal opinion. And so there you go. But then this is the one that really pisses me off, because this is what I was talking about in regards to barriers. She's got her Siege Shield, which is comparable health to Barrick's shield, but lasts a couple of seconds longer, and it moves forward. Now this is what I was talking about Barrick's shield, with it being deployable and the way that they've changed the cooldowns on it. And as far as I'm aware, even in this patch, that remains the same. And ultimately what it comes down to is, with a much shorter cooldown already, by the way, I would point out as well, this shield advances where Barrick is no longer able to push with his shields. He either has to put them down to secure and then cannot redeploy them in a new place to make a push. It has equivalent or fairly similar health levels. It lasts for 2 seconds longer by default, and on top of that, its cooldown is shorter. In which case, this character is completely removing Barrick from use, in my opinion, and turning him very much into a turret-based Torbjorn-like character who should not be a frontline character at all, because he doesn't have defensive capabilities and he doesn't have the capabilities to really sustain his team as Barik used to by being able to roll those shields as well as keep his turrets up. And then we've got her ultimate, and this is kind of because in regards to the way that I will build this character and the items that I'll choose, this might make the difference, because I usually take Cronus on a lot of characters, as I'm sure you've seen when I've been playing, just because I like the refresh on all of those abilities. I like the turnover. But also the turnover helps me stay in the fight longer, which means that then also potentially I'm going to be able to charge my ult by staying in the fight instead of having to die, come back, throw myself into it, maybe not have the access to my abilities that would keep me there, and then just charge up as best I can off what I have available to me before I get taken out again and I have to come back again. But in this case, she leaps forward, so it's a movement ability, plants a banner into the ground that deals damage, which, again, fair enough. It's not a huge amount of damage. It's less than her weapon damage. That's okay, fair enough. But it creates an area on the ground that makes her damage immune for a few seconds. Now, this and she must remain within this zone, fair enough, but this zone covers the point. It's a reasonable sized zone. And so, again, though, I'm looking at this and I'm going, well, yeah, Fernando has an ultimate like this. And Fernando gets rooted to the spot, pretty much. Like, he gets either rooted, or if he's on a bit of odd map geometry, then he kind of slides or moves quite slowly. And so, as a result, it's like, again, she's now even, like, taking over Fernando's, like, role with his ultimate of just being a nuisance and locking down a point. Thing is, then let's take a look at her cards. Her cards, this grants her CC immunity and a 90% damage reduction on her charge, because her charge has a little wind up at the beginning. It's a matter is it's less than a couple of seconds, but it's enough to potentially really cause her, prevent her from doing it. So there's that. And again, it grants her CC immunity. So when before I was looking at this and I was going, okay, so the way to take this character out seems to be with CC to hold her off the point. No, not the case, because she can still, like, have this card, use it and charge onto the point, even if then maybe she's not as resilient on the point and she can't use her ultimate to help her team as much while she's there and whatever else. She can still lock herself down there. And so that just seemed a bit much to me, considering that now, again, they were saying that with Makoa, they changed his ultimate so that now he's able to be CC'd, so that he's not as potent, he's not as terrifying a force when he is Makoa. There is some counterplay, or when he's using his ultimate, rather. The shield, it makes it move 80% slower, which, fair enough, that means that you've got more of a defensive barrier than a pushing barrier, but again, potentially that's not going to be an issue. And it gives it some extra health. Okay, fair enough, that's fairly straightforward. That's not necessarily a bad one. That's kind of more in line with some of the others that we've seen. But the thing is, then Assert Dominance, her ultimate, stuns affected enemies, so people who have been damaged and whatever else when she lands. And then allies also with 100 feet, whether that's 100 units or not, I think it's probably 100 units, get a 20% damage increase. So she's able to not just lock down a point, but encourage her team and empower her team to push people off the point. Now, before we go in, as I've already done this and I've already created a loadout, what I've done with the loadout that I've got for her is she's got an eliminations reduce all cooldowns ability, which means, again, that she can be really, really potent with that. So we've got that in there. We'll knock 20% off. We've increased her health to 300. Her health on the normal build is, or on the basic build, is 5,750, but this card grants 450 health instead of 300. So we'll have a little less than the kind of basic build that they provide is. But then, like, her shield seems to be a big thing for her because they've got cards that relate back and forth. So I've got reducing the cooldown by 1 second, bringing it from 10 seconds down to 9 seconds, increasing the duration by 2 seconds to bring it up to 8 seconds of duration for the actual shield running, and then reducing the cooldown of the siege shield by 1 second for each enemy hit by kinetic burst. So if you've got one enemy hit, then that means that you've got an 8, with this included, you've got it down to 8 seconds. So there you go. But with the eliminations reduced by 20%, I need to hit one enemy with it down to 8 seconds potentially. I need to hit one enemy to knock down another 2 seconds, so I need to hit 4 enemies to take off the entire cooldown. And with her AoE, if I'm dropping that at a point, because it seems to be point sized almost, then that means that if I'm even tagging people with that, and then someone else is taking them out, like a Willow or a Drogoz or a Tyra or someone dropping a grenade or just peppering people with bullets, then it still comes down to the fact that I will be credited on those eliminations, because it's not purely kills, it's eliminations. And so as a result, I will get continual use of not just my siege shield, which will be a very potent thing, but also my other abilities as well. So there's that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to quickly jump into the shooting range so that we can take a look at the ranges of her abilities, because she doesn't really have much else to test. She doesn't have any CC of her own to test specifically, apart from that knockback, and the knockback we can test on the range. And then everything else of hers is range based, because we just need to see how far it is that she can kind of move with some of her abilities, or how far she moves other people, how close she needs to be to hit, considering it's a hard lock on a kind of hard limit on her range for her mortar that she's carrying around with her. So there's that. We'll take that one. We'll take our build that we have made. So yeah, we've got 5,600 rather. Instead of the 5,750, but it's still very respectable. It's still kind of coming closer to Fernando than not. Now, I believe we can stand just outside of the hard limit, yeah, and still get most of the 400 damage.
Here the story
like between
begins,
300 and 350.
as the prime blood has been spilled.
Like, just through the AoE on the weapon. But obviously, if we want to do the most, then we're going to want it stood up here. But there's still not a huge amount of drop off on the damage, considering that if I stand just a little outside of it, like it either does no damage or it does, you know, a good amount of it there. So, you know, there's that. But you can respawn, please. So then her shield moves, I think, about 50 units. So this is the 200 marker. So this can, again, I wish they'd make these bigger. But yeah, so it runs, and it seems to run to just past there. So it's like maybe like 60 odd units, something like that. You know, it goes for a while. The charge though, so we're here again. The charge, a little bit of a wind up, and she can go for about 100 odd units with that, like, straight. So there's that. That's not bad necessarily. But then let's this is just a charge up, kind of like, so you still need to fire, and then she flies by quite a way. But it seems to be quite a limited cone, because if I try, like, we've got 3 people here in a little triangle, so on me. Yeah, that can hit all of them, but if I was stood here and I was trying to hit everyone across, then it wouldn't work. So, you know, but then again, like, she's for a tank being able
That's
to
a quadruple wobble build.
Thank you, Dry Bear. But potentially being able to catch an entire team in that, you know, that's a fair amount of damage being put out here. I mean, yeah, we've got other kind of higher damage tanks like Ruckus maybe, but he's not also potentially replacing other characters with their abilities. But then her ultimate, see how far she jumps. So she jumps around just under 50 units, but then this is quite a sizable area. I mean, that's definitely the size of a point. So yeah, we've got a lot kind of going for us there, both in regards to, like, the abilities that she's got, the ranges that she's at, and, you know, again, you can kind of see what I mean, where she's potentially taking over from from other people, but also they finally made this available properly in the shooting range now. And so I usually take Cronus, as said, because, you know, it allows me that repeat on her abilities. But with her, I don't think the repeat on her abilities is all that necessary considering her cards. So I'm thinking this for her ultimate, because if I can continually lock down an area for a few seconds and just help my team wipe an area clean by just having me be literally unstoppable in that space, you know, it's a case of, like, if I can drop that every so often down the point, and as I'm hitting so many enemies to build up ultimate charge and stuff like that anyway, you know, it's that. But then looking at this again, just as it's now here and I can do it without having to worry about quick picks, you know, the 90% reduction for this already, you know, this is where I feel Willow's dead zone is too much, because you've got the 90% already on Cauterize at full, and then you've got her dead zone, which is 100%. So if you're using both, you're suppressing all healing for no reason. But again, people aren't realizing this. I was in a match the other day over the weekend where you had a whole load of people picking Wrecker, and there was no one else on the other team that this would affect, but they were taking it anyway, you know. And it's just not, again, this is one of the reasons why I want to do these videos. But anyway, let's jump into a bot match with our Ash and our build, and let's see siege training. But yeah, let's see how she plays. Granted, it's against bots. Granted, bots are dumb, but at the same time, we'll be able to see them group up and see what happens when we try and take them out, or whether or not that shield is too mobile to really replace Barrack. Even though, again, you've got
Ash,
that issue with Barrack's shield not being as reusable to kind of fulfill his role. But yeah, let's take a look at this then. Also, I do like this new pedestal setup. I mean, you know, it's like, I got nothing against this. This is nice. It's, you know, seeing your other teammates, especially if it's your friends, if you're showing off your fashion that you bought from the store or whatever, then yeah, there's no issue with that. It's all cool. I mean, it's a shame about some of the clipping here, but you know, hey, such is the way of things. I'm sure it'll get tidied up in time. Cool. Okay, but let's take a look at this. So who have we got on the enemy team? We've got well, we've got no healer, so there's that. But we've got a Ying on the enemy team. We've got a Lex who's positional. We've got Willow who's positional. Right, so we want this. Yeah, we want this. And then the first thing I think we're going to want is the morale boost. First off. Yeah, because Skye is taking Cauterize to supplement her own thing. She's taking damage reduction already, which seems a little odd, but okay, fair enough. But yeah, so like if other people are countering, especially Ying, because she's going to be the thing that holds them.
Have fun.
Holds them at bay. Or keeps them going, rather, not holds them at bay. People talking in Russian,
Good
apparently.
game.
I believe that's Russian.
5, 4, 3, 2,
Or at least a Cyrillic-based language. Anyway, let's roll and see what happens when we get to the point.
Good luck.
Because
Here the story begins, as the prime blood has been spilled.
we get her off the point and reduce damage there, and then Mako's still. There you go, Mako, go away. Any more for any more? No? Good. Yeah, so again, that splash there allowed me an awful lot of kind of recovery on my I'm gonna charge up with my
Enemy double kill. Payload.
get him out there.
I knew you'd have
now we're starting to get into trouble, but that's mostly also because we don't have a healer, so there's that. But
Enemy killing spree.
Let's take cauterize, because then we can suppress the healing from the Ying on the other side, as well as whatever other cards they may have. So, you know, we've got that. Right. Drop that, and then...
I needed that. Thank you.
Oh, Vanessa shot me in the back of the head. Okay. Yeah, let's take that one. But now we've also got our ultimate, so we might be able to really drop in on them and make a bit of a mess. Should we need it.
Keep your head down. My wounds are healed. You can build. Just a prank. I knew you'd have my back.
Because again, that reload time is not particularly substantial at all, is it? It's you can go over there. But yeah, no, it's the reload time here is really not. I've not had to use the ultimate yet as powerful as it is, just because we've.
Time to take charge.
30 seconds remaining.
There you go.
And fail.
They're out of range, but like.
Seconds remaining.
Come on, let's fight.
Oh, that.
Enemy double kill.
Yeah, I popped that and got cocky. That was my own fault, especially because I jumped up. But
Enemy double kill.
no. I got cocky with my ultimate, and I got it stuck in a place that I'm not sure if it was really affecting anyone anymore, because I dropped down and I was no longer damaging underneath the shot. But other than that, again,
Capture point spawning in 15
we've got
seconds.
a really strong push with that shield, which you can't do with the likes of Barrack anymore. So
5, 4, 3.
and that I was
2,
actually like I was finding that I could use the charge there to make a difference due to the knockback, which you don't make as much of an impact like that with. And we go with the seedling there. I think it hit us straight off, didn't it? Or was it? Oh no, Ying got us, apparently. But yeah, this is like, she's fun. I'll say that. I'll give her that much. She is a fun character to play. You know, but at the same time, the...
Get over there and escort the dang payload.
Okay. So. I'll take that. We want this ultimate up faster.
Enemy
so
double kill.
Roll
Enemy
it more.
triple kill.
Try and run. Come on, let's fight.
Now I'm damage. I don't even care around in my place there. Unfortunately, then like I need to keep track of when the immunity wears off. But that's fine. That again was I was still able to move and chase, unlike Fernando, who stands in place and has to just flame in his tiny range from his position. It's like, again, if this was maybe if we at least had a healer to help with sustain, then
I knew you'd have my
30 seconds.
probably take her out. But yeah, so he good. Again, it's but we're getting a lot more. We're still getting kills. So, and considering that now Barrick, who for a long time has been kind of a mainstay, can't do this, and considering that Fernando, if he tried to do this, would end up with out his shield and would end up taken out. Like, again, I feel like this character should have just been a kind of a look at the other heroes that this kind of covers, so that they could like if this character was introduced as an alternative to those guys on style, yeah, then I'd have no issue at all. But it's the fact that this character comes in and overflows kind of into the areas that those characters had of their own for a while. Goddamn Kinessa aimbot piece of crap. But anyway, yeah, it's the
Come on, let's fight.
Kills at the same time. Killing spree.
that was interesting, bouncing her off the wall there, but hey ho. You just want to catch them on that corner, really. So. So again, though, we're just tagging people, and we're not getting the finishing shot or anything like that. We're just getting the kind of roll on them, thanks to the rest of the team. And again, that that positional play that they're trying to encourage there with... Get away from my car. Oh, down we go. But yeah, it's the positional play with some of these characters is all very well and good. You know, like encouraging it, trying to make it more a more important thing. You know, that's all well and good. That's all fine. But at the same time,
come on, let's fight. Try and run.
yeah, like she can't sustain herself, which is fair enough. But like she's still got that element of being either immovable or being able to like really push and crush opposition. Yeah, there we go. We isolate the healer and take them out. And now again, I think I'm still trying too hard for like direct shots when I need to just be pinning,
30 seconds
like dropping mortar fire on the ground just to catch them in the splash. You know, because then the rest of my team is really high damage, so they
15 seconds remaining.
Come on, let's fight.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Believe in me.
cool. Now this is there we go, and now we just spam
Time to take charge.
spam as we ride. Oh.
5 in a row. 2 kills. Same time. Double kill. Enemy triple kill.
Oh, now we just need to take those two out. You can do it, I believe. Nah. Again, though, now we're just gonna have, you know, granted the
We
bots
can
are,
do better.
the bots might be stopping us, but at the same time, they're stopping us against like a wall that's hard to push around. You know, it's that little choke, and these guys unfortunately don't have the survivability to like not get
Capture
taken
point
out
spawning in
necessarily
15
when they're
seconds.
up against an enemy that's continually regenerating. But you know, that's the problem with some of these picks. That's why I end up I want to make these
5,
videos, because it's like
4,
if people
3,
find any value in
2,
this, if they
1.
listen, you know, if they play more, then either they can you know, present stuff and
Come on, let's fight. Kill you for that.
how did that not hit?
Killing spree.
Tell him Ash sent you.
Because yeah, it's just like that shield disappears. We've got a couple of seconds. If they get back within range and we manage to take someone out, then you know we get that cooldown back anyway. By the time they've actually got back to the point, it doesn't matter.
I'm
So
not surprised.
the question is though, yeah, it was Lex. The question is though, now that they've done this, will they, you know, actually take the hell? now that they've done this with this character, will they actually take a look at like fixing some of the stuff with those other characters to make them actually usable and, you know, comparable, considering that this one you can get rolled straight into the game. Like, again, the holding of the objective here is substantial. Like, again, 5 gold across the board. We've done, Christ, we did more damage than the Drogos even, or the Tyra. I mean, at least this team played the objective. I'll give them that. But again, we've kind of just carried the team in a sense. But part of that is that we were spamming damage down and they were doing the rest of the killing. You know, it's like we've got all of those eliminations just because we were tagging so many people. So, you know, there's a set of issues with this. The other thing that's bugged me though, just in closing, the other thing that's bugged me is that they have removed their feedback form from the actual game itself, or at least if it's still here, you know, I can't find it. And so as a result, like, I've been giving feedback, I know other people have been giving feedback, both in regards to the way that things work for the various heroes as they're introduced and the other things like that. You know, I mean, if I had the time, maybe, sure, I'd jump onto the forums and whatever else. Oh, okay, so those are... Okay, ignore that then. But it's like they've added this activity center thing that just tells you what you get, basically. But otherwise, they've removed the stuff in regards to actually providing feedback, giving your impressions to the developers. Like, the fact that it was actually here... I know an awful lot of people who play with me casually and who don't have the time to sit and necessarily do feedback. You know, go trawling through the forums, finding the right thread, adding their say, and then leaving. I know an awful lot of people who were more engaged and more hopeful for the game purely because they were able to, like, put it straight back through the game itself. But now that seems to have disappeared, or at the very least, I can't find it because I don't think it's in the store. And I don't think it's anywhere else here. You know, there are only a limited number of options here. The only place that I find feedback on any kind of a feedback form on any regular basis is in the test map stuff, which, by the way, some of those test maps are going to be absolutely awesome. There was one that at the moment is called Bend, which seems to be in the kind of vein of Stone Keep, with big kind of castle structures, and that one has been really fun. And there was another one, I think, called River something as well. The way that they did with high and low, they were much bigger maps that we've got. You know, they encouraged more of the play that they want, rather than, you know, so adding in like Willow and Lex and now Ash. You know, it doesn't, and even Ceres, who admittedly I really enjoy, and as you can see, I've got more gold frames than I had last time. You know, it's like Ceres I've actually really enjoyed playing because she's got that nice balance where a lot of kind of channel healers seem to be quite inactive. She's quite active. But anyway, this was a video about Ash, and I've gone rambling on about other stuff, guys.